Hey everybody, thanks for watching my very first Kara the Nail Goddess video tutorial starring Santa Claus. Please click like, share, and subscribe to Kara the Nail Goddess on YouTube to see more of my upcoming videos. Feel free to ask questions or leave comments, let me know what you think. Today I'm going to show you how I do a 3D acrylic Santa Claus. So this is my 16-year-old daughter. As you can see, she is a nail biter. And what I've done is I've built a nail on a clear tip with beige colored acrylic. The reason I like to use beige is because that will be the background for Santa Claus, for his face. And in a few minutes I will actually add a little nose out of the beige acrylic as well. Here I am using Fire Engine Red glitter by Art Glitter, mixed half and half with a clear acrylic powder, and I just mix that and keep that ready to go. And so I've picked up a drop of it and applied it right on to the beige acrylic, and as you can see I just patted it smooth, and I had a little bit too much on there, so I just smoothed it all out and swiped off all of the excess. And what I'm doing right now is making a Santa hat, and I just butt it right up to the cuticle and swipe away anything that is like little pieces of glitter that are stragglers and stuff. I just swipe them off. This brush is an acrylic brush made by Wildflowers. I really like it a lot. I like that it has a metal barrel and not wood, so it doesn't get all gummy when you are when you happen to get monomer on it. So not wasting any time. My brush is moving faster than my mouth. So I picked up a big ball of white acrylic. This is chrome white, made by Exclusive Nail Couture, and I just put a blob on and I moved it all the way to the right and up, kind of like to the hat, so that it kind of has the sideburns of his beard. And I was thinking that I would maybe do his whole beard in just one blob, and I was getting ready to like carve out a little mouth there, but then I thought no, I'm just gonna do the one that I always do. Every time I do Santa Claus, they end up a little bit different, so I always tell people, if you want two Santa Clauses on a set of nails, I can pretty much promise that they're not gonna match. So I switched brushes. I moved over to the 3D brush, also made by Wildflowers Nails. I've used a lot of 3D nail art brushes, and this is probably my favorite. Nice and sharp, crisp tip, also the metal barrel, and really easy to clean up. So what I did was, as it's drying, you can see that I turned my brush to the side and I pressed in, made different shapes, made it kind of look like a ribbon. Then I went around the outside and pressed upwards with my brush to kind of give it more of a beard look. If you're in a hurry, you don't have to add this second layer of acrylic. You could easily go right into building the mustache and the nose. But I like to add a second layer. I think it gives it more dimension and of course added fullness, and so you can do it as full or as thick as you like, but I'm trying to keep this guy kind of a medium size. She has smaller hands and smaller nail beds, very small nail beds, so you can even go smaller by just cutting back the amount of white that you apply. Now keep in mind that the Santa's beard is very fluffy, so you can pretty much get away with making any kind of bumpy shapes, and it's probably going to end up looking just fine. I'm just giving it some waves here with the tip of my brush, and then I'm smoothing out across the top as you kind of like you would for a smile line. because that's where his cheeks are going to go. And now you can see I pulled a little ball of the beige acrylic, and that's his nose. And I'm keeping in mind that along the brim of the red glitter, I'm going to put some white fluffy trim. So I have to remember that I need to have space for his eyes and his eyebrows and that trim. So I could tell you, oh, in your mind, just measure it halfway between the top and bottom, or 2/3 of the way down his face. But really, what I'm picturing right now is I'm picturing that I still need to fit the trim to his hat and then his eyebrows and his eyes above that nose. And I still need room for his mustache. So that'll kind of help you if you kind of envision what you're going to do. So I'm using some little rhinestones. They're not real Swarovskis, they're just little cheapies. You can also use little blue or black sequins. Those work just as well. In fact, I think I prefer to use the sequins because they lay more flat and make his eyebrows stand out a little bit more, and you'll see what I mean as soon as I put the eyebrows on. I'm just using a little bit of clear acrylic to adhere those, and I'm getting them positioned nice. You don't want them too wide, you don't want them too skinny, because then your Santa Claus is gonna look different. Let's just say different. So you just get them positioned the way you want them to be. And now I'm not sure what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. I'm pulling an eyebrow, I think. My voice finally caught up with my brush. Oh no, I'm doing the brim. So again, I'm choosing some chrome white. Any bright white will do, or you can also use a white that you've already mixed glitter into. I didn't have my glitter white handy, so in this one I'm just applying that chrome white and just blobbing it on, really kind of trying to keep it flat. You can tell that I'm looking at it from the side to make sure that I'm not going to have any kind of weird crazy things poking up. So over on the side of the hat, you can see that I kind of brought the red down a little bit because I want a tail from the hat to come over. And so I'm going to pick up a little bit of red glitter and I'm going to lay it right over here on the side because it's going to give it a little bit more dimension. And yeah, there you go. Now you can see that the hat is actually hanging down over to the side. So I'm going to pick up some glitter and add it to it. This is a glitter I have that I got from Tony Lee. It's really, really gorgeous, and I'm just picking up the tiniest little bit because that's all you really need. You just need a little bit of sparkle to glitz it up a bit and differentiate it from the Santa's white beard. And when it's all finished and it's got the top coat on it, you can see that it ends up being really striking. You could choose to do a different color, like I was saying earlier, that every single Santa I make ends up looking just a little bit different. So now I'm going in with more white. This is the left side of his mustache, and I hope you can see that. I purposely am creating this video with the Santa sideways so that you can turn your phone and hopefully get it really large. And so what I'm doing right now is I was waving to create some airflow to help dry my mustache because it was still really shiny. You kind of want to wait for it to get a little bit dull looking. It kind of loses that really bright shine, so you know that it is more workable. And I don't know if you noticed, but just a second ago, after I picked up that white, I pressed my brush, the back of my brush, onto the paper towel so that it could absorb some of the excess monomer I had in my brush. You want to work with this pretty dry. And then this is how it always goes with me. I get one side looking really, really good, and then I try to make the right side match, and I have the hardest time. It is really difficult for me. I don't know if it's difficult for everybody else. Maybe I should try doing my bad side first, but I never do. I never think of it. Usually I'm in a really big hurry. I'm like, get this done quick. So I think the fastest I've ever done a Santa Claus is probably like, I think I timed myself last year and it was like 9 minutes. But that's if I already have all the colors pulled out and I'm prepped and I'm ready, like ready to roll. So I'm just really messing with this right side of his mustache because it's a little bit small and I added a little bit more to it. So finally I'm like, okay, this is gonna look good. And oh no, I added more to it even still. So that's me. I just keep on messing with it. So the video is gonna get a little wiggly for a second. I don't know. Maybe it's already been wiggly, but my daughter just asked someone to the Sweethearts dance, and apparently he replied with a yes that he would go. And she starts screaming and giggling, and I'm telling her to hold still, and so her hand starts moving around. So I'm sorry. I hope you don't get vertigo from that. But yeah, so she has a date for Sweethearts, so that's great. So I just picked up a really small ball of the Chrome White, and you can see I was just brushing the backside of my brush. Sometimes I'll actually drop the ball down onto the paper towel. I use Viva paper towels, the original kind, because well, I like the way I can wipe my brush on it. It's always been my favorite. And sometimes I'll actually drop the ball on the Viva, and then you'll see me with my brush, the tip of my brush, I just kind of roll it, and it changes it from a round ball into more of like an oblong shape. So then I can apply it, and it's easier to work with when you lay down the eyebrows. So this is just a pigmented, like a richly pigmented rose color. And you can see what I've done is I'm not really applying a ball or anything for his cheeks. I am picking up a small amount, wiping it on my paper towel, and I really just want to pick up the pigment. I want to pick up that pigment, and I'm having trouble with the right side of his cheek. The left side ended up going on fairly well, but now I'm really getting some color in there, and so I'm really just coloring that beige acrylic that's the base for his face. I'm just coloring that with this rosy acrylic color, and I'm going to do a little bit more for his mouth. And in this video you really can't see his nose very well, but it's there. I promise you, by the time it's done and I turn the finger or the nail to the side, you'll be able to see that he actually does have a nose. Okay, so I've got his lips in there, and really it's just a little dot. By the time you get the top coat on it, it'll just look like his mouth. And you don't really need to make a shape or anything. You're just kind of filling in that little gap in there because it's tucked away above his beard and below his mustache. And it's kind of fun to mess around with the shape of the beard and the shape of the mustache. Sometimes I've done really elongated beards, especially if they have like a nice long stiletto nail or a coffin nail. It looks really good. This is the Joya Mia top coat. I've been really liking that a lot lately. And so I'm just really pressing in. I don't want to get any thick blobs in here because the more top coat you add, the more dimension it takes away. And when you do all of this work to get the 3D look, sometimes it's fun just to leave it untop coated. That looks good for certain things. And there I've just I took a little quick break, and I slyly did a 30-second cure in my LED lamp, and then I applied some cuticle oil. I like to do 30 seconds for the initial cure of the top coat, and then apply the cuticle oil, and then put it in for another 30 seconds. And then that, I think the light actually helps the cuticle oil absorb into the skin, and it just looks really nice and pretty. And so we have our finished 3D Santa Claus, and you can see, I don't know if I turn it well enough, but you can see from the side that he's not too bulky. And for her little bitten fingernails, this is probably going to be just right. I probably could have gone just a little bit smaller with his beard for this size of nail, but I think this is going to work just fine. And here is a close-up of the finished product, a 3D acrylic Santa Claus. Happy holidays, everyone, and if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and share, because there's a lot more to come. Merry Christmas, everybody!